Breckenridge Street, but her mother summoned her and her brother to come live here while the battle was going on, because she felt it would be much safer to live in the brick house than the original wooden house they lived in. As you see, there are several bullet holes in the house. There are at least 100 accounted for, and this particular bullet hole right here is where the bullet entered that killed Jenny, and it was believed to have come from over in that area around the Farnsworth house. And this was a gentleman's war, so they would never intentionally kill or injure a woman or a child. Jenny's death was an accident. So now we're going to go into the house. I'm going to go into this room over here then.
She was ahead of her time. She had air conditioning.
Yep. Okay, this was the parlor, so you're probably wondering, why is there a bed in the parlor? Well, a few days before the Confederate soldiers marched through town, Georgina, Jenny's sister, gave birth to a baby boy, and her family felt by having the bed downstairs that it would be more convenient to care for her and her child. This picture right here is the only picture we have of Jenny. She was 18 in this picture, and she did pass away when she was 20. And Jenny was believed to be a very religious person. On the morning of her death, she was reading from the Bible, and her sister remembered her closing her prayer, "If anyone should die today, I pray that it was me, since my sister has just given birth to her son." So now we're going to go into the kitchen. Okay, this was the kitchen. This is where Jenny was the morning of her death. She put the door like this because she felt she'd be safe between two doors baking biscuits that morning. Unfortunately, the bullet went through that door there. This hole here, striking her in her left shoulder blade, hitting her in the heart and killing her immediately. And we are fortunate enough to have the original dough tray she was using that morning. Her sister donated it to the museum in 1911, and it's been with the museum ever since. And all the floorboards in the house, except for these two rooms, are the original. These two rooms were so badly damaged that they did need to be replaced. And while removing the floorboards, they weren't expecting to find anything, but they noticed in this area here that there was a maroon tint towards the wood. It was Jenny's blood, and a gentleman from Gettysburg has taken those floorboards and preserved them, and there are pictures on the other side of the house that you can see. Well, that's all I have for you guys today. Billy's going to tell you the story he remembers that morning, and then the rest will follow by your tour sheet. Going to go up through the rest of the house, out the other kitchen door, and then down into the cellar. Okay, enjoy your tour, guys.
My name is Private William Hildebrandt, Company 58 New York Infantry. It was about daybreak this morning when Lieutenant Schwartz ordered me and a couple of the other fellows from the company out to ask skirmishers to take possession of these houses here in between our lines back up on the hill and the rebel lines on into town. I was over the side of this house kind of resting for a couple of hours or so, kind of dozing off and listening to the rebel mini balls zipping through the air and smashing up against the side of the house there outside, behind you folks there. I heard sort of a funny sound, like wood cracking or a log splitting. I heard a woman scream a couple seconds later, coming from inside this house. It sort of surprised me because I didn't figure anybody was in here. Well, I ran around to the front of the house and busted open that door there right behind you folks. Came in here, and a couple other fellas followed me in. They heard the scream and wondered what it was, too. There's an older woman coming from that front room there to your right, and over her shoulder I could see a young girl lying in the bed, crying, and a little baby in the cradle. As I moved on into the room here and looked behind this near door, saw another young woman lying on the floor, all in a crumpled up heap. It didn't take too much figuring to see that a mini ball would come through both those doors. You can see the holes there for yourself. Hit her in the back as she was bending over her dough tray. The more I looked at her, the more I could see she weren't breathing either. Just then, some more of our boys come running down from upstairs there. They heard the commotion. How they got up there, I'm not rightly sure, unless maybe they hid up there from the first day's battle. Well, as soon as they come running down, the rebels opened up with a pretty brisk fire. Everybody moving in and out of the house and past the windows. They were figuring to pick one or two of us off, I reckon. Well, as soon as they got down and the rebels opened up fire, we decided we better get the women and the children out of that side of the house before something else happened to one of them. The fellows that come from upstairs said that there was a big hole blown through one of the walls up there from a shell that come in the day before. If we took the women and children up there, we could get them to the other side of the house and maybe down into the cellar. Down there they'd be nice and safe. Well, they ran on upstairs and started busting the hole a little bit bigger. We commenced gathering them all up. There was two little boys here. One was a younger brother to the dead girl, and the other one was a little crippled neighbor boy she was taking care of. The older woman was the dead girl's mother, and the young lady with the baby was her sister. Right away, the older woman, the mother, said she wasn't going anywhere without both of her daughters. And I wasn't about to argue with the rebels trying to shoot holes through us and all, so I said we'd bring the dead girl along. Ann Mueller, my good friend, started up the stairs there with a split-bottom rocking chair for the lady with the baby to sit on. The lady and the baby went on up there, and Danny Smith and me, we started wrapping the dead girl in a quilt that the mother gave us. I picked her up and started on up the stairs like she weren't heavy at all, just a little wisp of a thing. And as I got up to the top of the stairs, I seen all of them going through the hole in the wall there. Two little boys scrambled in just before I did. I had to duck my head a little bit to make it through there with the dead girl in my arms. I went on through the other side of the house and down the stairs and outside, and then down into the cellar. The lady with the baby, she was already sitting on the chair there. I took the dead girl over to the other side of the cellar and laid her down on a bench over there. Just before I come up here, I heard the other fellas talking to the older lady, asking her that maybe she could come up and fix some bread that her daughter was making for them. They was mighty hungry. I didn't feel that was quite right, asking a lady to fix bread that her daughter was killed at making, but she seemed like she didn't mind and she'd be up shortly. Well, just to be polite, I asked her. I said, "What was the dead girl's name?" "Mary Virginia," she said. Most folks around here just called her Jenny.
Please continue your tour of the Jenny Wade house using your brochure. Proceed up the stairs to your left and follow the route of the Wade family to the second floor, through the shell hole in the wall, down the stairs, and outside into the cellar.
The type of shell that came through the roof, knocked out wall. You just left see, out the kitchen door is the cellar.
So was it Gettysburg boy and compare that to the guy and his cousin's son?
While the battle raged above their heads, the Wade family kept its vigil, feeling that particular unbelieving grief that all civilians must feel when war comes to their own front door. But the story doesn't end there. Wesley Culp, a native Gettysburg boy who'd gone south before the war, had finally returned home with a message from a boyhood chum to his sweetheart in Gettysburg. Wesley Culp had returned to Gettysburg all right, but as a Confederate soldier, fighting desperately on Culp's Hill, in the very fields where he played as a boy, on the very hill that bore his family's name. The message he carried was from Jack Skelly, a playmate from his youth in Gettysburg, who was now a Union soldier, lying mortally wounded in Virginia, a long way from home and loved ones. Wes's regiment had fought against Jack's at Winchester, Virginia, just 18 days before. When Jack was wounded and captured, Wes found his boyhood friend and promised to deliver Jack's dying words to his sweetheart in Gettysburg. Wes was in Gettysburg now, fighting on his family's hill, just a few hundred yards from the girl for whom Jack's message was intended. Wes had tried unsuccessfully to deliver the message on the night of July 1st, and as soon as this bothersome skirmishing with the family farm was over, he'd try again. Wes Culp never got the chance. He was killed in the fighting on Culp's Hill, in the kind of tragic homecoming that only war can produce. Jack Skelly's last message to his sweetheart in Gettysburg went undelivered. The irony doesn't end there, though. Even if Wes had lived, the message to Jack's sweetheart could never have been delivered. She was also lying dead at that moment, in this very cellar. Her name was Jenny Wade.